Hello, everyone. My name is Ryan Cam. Welcome back to the Reiner Project. Myself and Russell Howell are going through the filmography of the late, great Rob Reiner. And Russell, we are on the precipice of like the golden age of Rob Reiner right here. Starting with this review and going forward, it's going to be nothing but hits, and I'm so excited for it.
Yeah, obviously the heavy hitters are coming up. My wife's favorite, she loves The Princess Bride, and she loves When Harry Met Sally too. So, definitely a lot of good films coming up in his filmography that we'll end up talking about.
Just by my count, like the next six movies, I haven't seen all of them, but I've seen a good chunk of them, and I can tell you that the ones I've seen are excellent, and the ones I haven't seen, I've heard nothing but amazing things about. Like it's
Which
just a
which one haven't you watched? You and I both haven't seen A Few Good Men.
I have not seen A Few Good Men. I've never seen When Harry Met Sally. I know, I
Wow,
know,
wow.
I
Okay.
know. I'm severely
First,
late to that party.
but don't beat yourself up over it because the first time I watched it was with my wife. I had never seen it up until her. So, and you figure I met her in 2013. I think
Well,
we probably watched it. It was during. I want to say it was one anniversary edition. It was like right around Valentine's Day that we went and saw it. That's the first time I'd ever seen it.
also, I tell a small lie. I actually have seen the ending of When Harry Met Sally when Harry's like, "I love when your wrinkles in the side here do that."
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I love that part. And of course, I've
yeah.
seen the Katz's Deli scene where he's like, "I
Oh
love what
yeah,
she's having." Like
yeah,
that stuff is iconic. I've seen that, but I haven't
yeah,
seen the rest. But the
yeah.
point I'm trying to get at is that starting with this review, Stand By Me, we got Princess Bride, When Harry Met Sally, Misery, and A Few Good Men. The only thing that breaks the streak is North, which
I remember liking that movie back when I was younger.
it's one of my favorite Siskel and Ebert reviews, and I've never seen it, but I've heard very bad things. But we'll get to that in time.
I remember liking that back in the day, man. I remember watching it like when it came out on pay per view. Okay, yeah, I'm sure watching it like 30 years, 30 years senior to it now. Obviously, it's going to be a lot different than it was when I was watching it when I was like probably like 10 or 8 or 9 or however I was when I came out.
It's the one that spawned the Roger Ebert "I hated this movie" quote. Hated every single audience insulting moment of it, end quote.
uh,
Just an all-timer rant from Roger
uh,
Ebert, but we'll get there when we get there. But for
yeah.
now, we're talking about one of Rob Reiner's very best films, one of the best coming-of-age movies of all time, just a stone-cold classic. It's 1986's Stand By Me.
It's the time that memories are made of.
So darling, stand.
This was based on the book, or well, the novella rather, of called The Body, written by Stephen King, and it starred Will Wheaton, River Phoenix, Corey Feldman, Jerry O'Connell, and Kiefer Sutherland, among many others. It tells the story of a group of four friends who learn of a dead body being found in the woods of their hometown in Castle Rock, Oregon. Castle Rock is a pretty notorious Stephen King town, but less said about that, the better. It's not entirely
Sure
relevant to
is.
this right now.
Sure is.
But but the four are kind of celebrating but also dreading this because they're about to be broken up by junior high school. It's really the end of a chapter of all of their lives. And so the movie is like a comedy, a drama, with a dash of being a thriller, with all of these friends bouncing off of each other and sharing like precious moments with each other because they're never going to get this again. And they really don't. And just, Russell, this movie was just beautiful. I think I could gush about this movie for days.
Yeah, I mean, and then you just think of like as you get older, just the the days of past. You know what I mean? The age of innocence.
Mhm.
Everything was so easy then. There wasn't, you know what I mean? You only worried about what you guys were gonna do when you got home from school or for the weekend. You were just worried about what whose friend's house you were gonna go to. And now things are a lot different now. Fast forward, I'm 42 now. I have an 11-year-old, I'm married. I don't see my friends as much as I used to all the time. You know what I mean? So life does change at you. I mean, doesn't mean I don't talk to them, but things are different. They're not how they were, how simple they were, obviously back then, like you see in this film. And it's definitely, you feel it when you watch it. You definitely feel that, you know what I mean? You just think back to your childhood, growing up, and just having those experiences, having those friends in your life. You know what I mean?
And then, like,
Yeah.
I'm 28, and I'm grateful to have friends like in this space, in like running and in working
Yeah.
out, like other things. But I had like a couple friends that I rarely speak to anymore, which is very unfortunate, but it is what it is.
Listen, I'm right there with you too. I had friends that I was good friends with, and you know what I mean, they just drop off. I mean, it is, you know what I mean, it is what it is, and that's in that retrospect. I mean, it stinks, but you feel like the people that were put in your path and in your way, it was for a reason, for God's choosing. So you kind of just embrace what you have. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's the God's plan thing and all of that.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it's like what Daredevil said. It's a beautiful tapestry that we only see as it's being made and not the finished product. One of the things that stands out immediately is the cast. Like, you got Will Wheaton, who like everyone knows from Star Trek, like "Shut up, Wesley" and all of that. But
Or The Big Bang Theory, Will Wheaton.
That's how I know him.
Yeah, that's so great.
I haven't seen a ton of Star Trek, I'll be the first to admit, but I always know him from The Big Bang Theory, where he shows up in the Trek uniform at the Star Wars Force Awakens premiere. I love that.
Yeah, he's great.
The late, very great River Phoenix, and like he's known for two things, like this and Last Crusade, and Mosquito Coast, if you want to give it a third. River Phoenix is here. He's great. Corey Feldman. He had a weird 1986. Like the same year that movie came out, he was a cameo in Friday the 13th Part 6.
That is right. He was.
Talk about just a wild time for him. Like, everything about him is wild, but
isn't it a year later he's in Lost Boys 87 with Kiefer Sutherland?
That's correct.
It's completely crazy. You think about how his, Feldman was everywhere. License to Drive with Corey Haim. You had a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, there's a bunch, man. He was the it actor in the 80s, man. If you think about it, he was who's who. Yeah. And then you have Jerry O'Connell, who obviously would have a bigger career in his 90s. And in the 90s, I would say he had a bigger career.
He does mostly animated stuff nowadays. Yeah. Like, if you watch any of the DC animated stuff, he's like in Batman Hush and Justice League Dark. So he's still around, but he's not nearly as prevalent. But I mean, I don't want to discount his acting stuff. I mean, animation stuff is still acting. Like, he's played Superman. He voiced Superman in the Death of Superman animated movie. So he's still kicking around and still acting. And then you got Kiefer Sutherland, like you mentioned, threat to Uber drivers everywhere. But this was his kind of boom period too, because after this, he would do Lost Boys. He would then just have, like, I just covered a 1996 project movie called Eye for an Eye, where the movie was kind of mediocre.
Sally Field.
He was awesome in it, though.
Wasn't Sally Field in that too?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that.
Horrible person. Like, great performance, but just horrible person. And then, of course, he would be Jack Bauer in 24, which, considering how good of a villain he plays, it's still astonishing that he's known to my generation as heroic Jack Bauer CTU, like, where's the bomb? Like,
that's crazy. He's even the psycho in the Reese Witherspoon. Wasn't it Freeway? Not Freeway? That wasn't Freeway.
That is right. Yeah.
It is Freeway with Reese Witherspoon. Yeah. So he's also in Phone Booth. I believe he provides the voice. Colin Farrell. Right, that's such a great movie too, from the late I think Joel Schumacher, late great. But yeah. Anywho,
you even have John Cusack in the movie briefly,
which is great. Call back to our last review.
And then you have the narrator, who's voiced by Richard Dreyfuss. You technically do see him in the first and last scenes, like he's sitting in his truck, but you primarily just hear his voice. And when I heard his voice, I'm like, is that Hooper? Sure enough, it is.
Yeah, it's Dr. It's Dr. Leo Marvin from What About Bob?
That's true, yes.
Uh,
But really, you can have a bunch of famous names in here, but it all comes down to what they're given. And just what they're given is just fantastic material to work off of. This movie's 89 minutes long, and the movie flies by, and it packs so much emotion into that 89 minutes. It's so efficient, but it's also weirdly like it takes its time, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense in my head. It may not to yours. But the point is, for 89 minutes, they pack a lot of story in here, and it all works
yeah,
to
I mean,
my show.
look at the character development in the 90 minutes too. Just the whole entire gripping of what's happening, and this is only 2 days together. They're only two days after Friday to Sunday evening.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And this is what we're doing. You know what I mean? So like, there's a
So
lot to unpack. There, like you said, short and sweet to the point here. It's a lot to unpack. A lot of growing up to do in 2 days here.
the Labor
You
Day
know,
weekend of the summer of 1959.
yeah, it just the days that you pine for, the days that you think back on, like when you're driving and you hear a song, and you're like, "Oh," you remember where you were at. You remember little things like, if I hear a song from '02, I'm like, oh, I was graduating high school. Or if you hear a song from blah blah blah, you remember where you were at. You remember the feels of it. You go back to it, and it's just like how I'm sure Richard Dreyfuss was thinking, obviously, when he's reading the newspaper, and we have this flashback to when he was younger.
It's very clear if you watch the movie that Gordy is the main focus, played by Will Wheaton.
Yeah,
This was a deliberate choice. Reiner said, I made Gordy like the main focus because it made the most sense to me. He pulled a lot, he being Rob Reiner, pronouns pal. He based a lot of that character on his relationship, his being Rob Reiner, pronouns pal, to his own father, Carl Reiner, which, I mean, Carl Reiner, legendary director in his own right.
yeah.
And so you can tell a lot of the, not stress, I guess, or a lot of the relationship kind of bouncing off of Gordy and his dad, because Gordy's dad is just, he's not awful, but I just hated Gordy's dad. I really did.
Well, yeah, because Gordy's brother, obviously played by John Cusack, dies in an auto accident, and things really haven't been the same at home. Parents are real distant from him, and he's just kind of like he's almost, he doesn't have a figure. He pretty much, obviously, when we see Chambers, obviously almost steps up to try to to volunteer to fill the void of being a fatherly figure to him, like basically saying, I wish I was your dad. You know what I mean? Basically saying that type of dialogue to him, and it's kind of sad because you feel bad for Gordy's character. He's
Yeah.
he's in middle school, or like going to the high school and junior high, and his parents just, they're so distant. They're so distant from him. They obviously, not saying that losing a son, or losing a child, but you go through it together. You know what I mean? He lost a brother too. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like they don't respect that. I feel like it's all about them, and they just really don't. You see like Gordy isolated because of it.
Some of the best scenes in the movie are just Gordy and Chris together. If it was just
100%.
about those two, I wouldn't
Yes.
say the movie would be necessarily better because it's an all-timer already.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
But
I
I
felt the
completely
most
agree.
for those two because
Yes.
the scene when they're together earlier on in the movie where Chris is like, you're not going to go to shop with us, you're going to go to these smart classes. Like, it reminded me of this scene from The Sopranos where Tony tells Michael Imperioli's character, I can't remember his name right now.
Oh my Lord.
I'll lower third, me in the future put in the lower third.
Don't let anyone ever make you feel like you don't have any options, because you got friends.
Chris Chambers just pretty much is the only one that tells him, you are a talented writer, you are going to, like, because Gordy says, like, writing's such a waste of time. And I'm like, I wonder if Stephen King was kind of taking the piss out of himself when he was
Yeah.
writing that. But like, Chris is like, no, it's not. You're going to shine. And like, Gordy is a great storyteller. I mean, you referenced the pie scene.
pie,
We might as well
yeah.
just unpack the pie scene right
Yeah.
now
It's
because
great.
my word, This thing is just fantastic. It just
Yeah.
him telling the story, the fat kid like eating all the pies, but before then he drank a whole big thing of castor oil.
Yeah.
I have no idea what this stuff is, but if this and Tom and Jerry have told me anything, it's pretty disgusting. And
Yeah.
then he just chugs a raw egg on top of that, eats like 5 pies, and then turns around and just upchucks on this guy, and it
Yeah.
cuts this chain reaction of everyone just throwing up left, right, and center.
Yeah.
I
It's
can't
funny.
do it justice.
It's funny. You just have to watch it, man. It's so funny because everybody's throwing up the same color, so that means everybody was eating the same thing, which is hilarious. Um, it's funny. It's one honestly, but when you think it, like this is the thing that singed in my head. I didn't remember it until I saw it. I'm like, oh, I remember this now. Yeah.
Later on, like Gordy just completely breaks down and cries and is like, "My dad hates me. My dad hates me." And Chris is there to help soften the blow. It reminds me another example, Ben Affleck and Matt Damon from Good Will Hunting.
Yeah.
The scene where Ben Affleck is like, "If you do not take advantage of these gifts, I'm going to kill you." Like you're sitting on a winning lottery ticket. That whole scene reminded me a lot of that. And so, like I said, if it was just about those two, it would have been
Oh,
just as good, if in some ways better.
I
And
agree.
not to say that Corey Feldman and Jerry O'Connell didn't do good. They did great. We might as
Yeah.
well just parlay into talking about them because
Yeah.
Corey Feldman was just great in this, and just his arc I thought was really intriguing too.
Yeah.
His dad, God bless him, stormed Normandy and just ended up in like this mental hospital. And one of my least favorite scenes in terms of like technical wise is when that junk dealer was like, "Your dad's in the loony bin. Your dad's." I'm
Yeah.
like, this is where the exposition dump is, I guess. But
Yeah. We could have done without that.
Feldman gave it socks though. He's like, "I'm gonna kill you. I swear to God." And like, he just
Yeah.
like, if that fence was not there, just he would have laid into this guy.
Yeah, I mean, definitely because you have Corey Feldman's character. Obviously, his dad comes back completely crazy from the horrors of war. Also tried burning his son, so he has a scar in his ear. There's a lot of stuff there he's unpacking. Not a normal life. None of these kids have really had, so it's kind of really really challenging. But Feldman does such a great job here too, because you usually see him. Yeah, you see him as the goofball, you know what I mean. He's the goofball in a lot of the films in the '80s, but he definitely takes a stab here, a little bit something more serious at times, though, for sure.
There's just so much with Teddy Duchamp that I think is a lot to unpack. Like he does "I'm gonna dodge this train," and I'm like, "Are you
Yeah,
really?" And
yeah,
like Chris kind of is like the detector. Like he cuts through all the BS. Like
yeah.
you could just tell. I think Teddy Duchamp really wanted that train to hit him. I could be looking too deep into it, but that's what I got out of it.
Well, no, because really, he doesn't really have anything to live for. Out of the characters, I think he's the one that doesn't have any direction. That doesn't know what he wants to do. Really, you know what I mean? His dad's locked up in an asylum or whatever. He has no father figure. What did they say with the mom? Is the mom? Did they mention anything about the mom?
I cannot remember for the life of me, and I just watched this last night.
It must not be important, and I just watched it tonight. So yeah, okay. So it must not have been that important. But what we're saying is, it just didn't seem like he had a whole lot to live for. You know what I mean? I think the group, obviously, together as a whole, obviously, was the saving grace for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you got Jerry O'Connell who plays Vern. Like,
Yeah.
it's amazing how like Jerry O'Connell looks nowadays and how
Body
he looks
transformation. Yeah.
that's for sure. And just
Yeah.
like he's definitely the comic relief, but he has a lot of heart too. Like he's like, if I had to eat one food for the rest of my life, cherry Pez. Like
Yeah.
you would get tired of that after a while. Like I'll
Uh,
just say, but
yeah. I would
he
get sick after the first night of eating those.
like he was meant to be the funny character, and he largely was. So,
Yeah.
and plus he sets everything in motion. They're going after his jar of pennies, and then like there just so happens to be the body there. He's the one who says, "You want to see a dead body?" So he starts this whole thing. So he's important, and that's why he's there.
Yeah.
And then you got Kiefer Sutherland, he's just such a jerk in this movie. Like
Yeah.
it's crazy to me. Like just he's not over the top though. I'm glad they didn't go like the cartoonish route. Like he's
Yeah.
a very believable for like Stephen King has a way with bullies where he makes them like weirdly grounded and like they're over the top but also like not.
Yeah,
That makes any sense.
a healthy balance. Yeah.
No one writes bullies like Stephen King. I'll just leave it at that. And then you got his friends, and they do like mailbox baseball. Like, in
Yeah.
2026, that's probably not happening. Like, unless you go around
No.
like PO boxes and just like doing
I
that.
remember
Which
people.
why?
I think people did that in high school, or egg houses. They did egg houses, or they'd what else would do? Egg houses, TP yards, knock on people's door and run away. Yeah, just stupid stuff, man. But I remember people. I did remember. I think a couple people in our high school got in trouble for doing that mailbox with bats and destroying property and stuff like that. Yeah.
Do you ever
But
hear of them lighting the bag of dog poop on fire? I've
yeah,
seen.
like on Billy Madison, or yeah, it was Billy Madison. It's that poop again. No, um, I just can't think of all that. I don't know, man. I couldn't be bothered with all that stuff thinking about that. It's just so I don't know. It's crazy, like especially the mailboxes, how much damage that had to have been, and then like them trying to get new mailboxes and all that. I could only imagine what a headache that would have been, you
Yes.
know. But yeah,
The chemistry between these four and with Sutherland and Co bouncing like in to be like, hey, like remember us? Like it just makes for a great dynamic. And I just love how everyone works off of each other in this.
yeah, no, I agree. I think if I'm going to pick the one acting that stands out, it's River Phoenix. I don't think that's the secret to that. I think Will Wheaton obviously is great, but man, River Phoenix, what a talent taken too soon. It's just one of those things where you see his character, have stepping up to the plate, trying to be that positive role model for his friends. Being that voice of support to Gordy. Being there, just like help. Rescuing Teddy from the train because he has nothing to live for. Just being that person. He's pretty much already given up. He knows that he's going to go to a trade school and he's not going to be able to talk to these guys anymore. And then that's pretty much it. Which I mean, could be or couldn't be. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just kind of sad that like they think that this is the end all be all type thing. You know what I mean? If friendships are meant to work out, they'll work out through all that. You know what I mean? So
Just wait a few decades, Mr. Chambers, for Facebook to come around and you'll
yeah,
reunite with these guys all over again.
it's a game changer, man. You'll be like, oh, blah 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 wants to add you, and then you'll go and check their profile down the road. It'll say add friend. You're like, what? Well, what the hell when did you de-add me? I always love that when you go see somebody and it says add friend, you're like, well, I thought we were friends. Okay, cool.
But
But yeah,
But there's another aspect of this that I loved was the 50s aspect of it all. If the
love the
movie
music.
feels timeless, it's timeless in its themes, but it's also feels so much like the 1950s without really forcing it, if that makes any sense. Like you can tell what decade it is just on the cars, like the
Music.
newscasts, like the grocery store that Gordy enters in, like the music in this is so good. Like
Oh, so
like the
straight.
the
Yeah,
lollipop song, like just
Stand
like
by Me. Obviously, at the end, they're
which I was
bangers.
like, if they do not play that song at any point, and they do, but I was like,
Yeah.
if they don't, then like, what are we even doing here?
Oh, Book of Love's on there. That's a great song too. I love 60s music. 50s and 60s music is great. I remember my first job at a grocery store. They played oldies, and I always listened to oldies when I was younger. So my wife will tell you I'm the oldest young person that she knows because I listen to that stuff. So I love it. Oh, every day it's again. Buddy Holly was in there too. Like I said, it's a banger list there for some oldies for sure. Definitely great. And then Will Wheaton's character too. Another great performance there. They're all solid, but I think River Phoenix and Will Wheaton are the two that stand out.
I want to take nothing away from Joaquin Phoenix, who is great in his own right, but River Phoenix, like you said, taken way, way too soon. Like just limited time on this, like limited time in his career, but man, he packed a lot in a little.
but it's crazy because this kid is like what 16 when this movie comes out, and he's acting like he's been in the game for 20 years, 30 years. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just I would have loved to have seen him pair off with people up and coming in the 90s. I would love to have seen him maybe like with like Tom Hanks or Tom Cruise or the names of the 90s. You know what I mean? I'd love to see him, with Jack Nicholson and like just different actors that this kid could have ended up working with down the road, or actresses too. You know what I mean? With Meryl Streep, or later on in life with Leo DiCaprio, or maybe even his brother. There's just so many different avenues we could have went, and it's a shame. But I just think his acting, I just think is just so much far superior than everybody else's in this. Like I said, Will Wheaton's right up there too. Those are the two I'm more invested in, obviously story wise. I would say so.
Well, ultimately, at the end of the day, I feel like, this is getting an amazing grade. Obviously, it's one of Rob Reiner's very best, and this is just a movie that launched a lot of careers. Let's just leave it at that. But I feel like this is the one that really allowed Reiner to go the distance, because this is Spinal Tap is very good. I love Spinal Tap a lot, but that one was very niche in a lot of ways. Like, unless you were really into like Ozzy and Slayer and all of that, then you wouldn't have gotten those references. The Sure Thing, while being very good, got promptly buried, and like you can't even find it on streaming anywhere. So that's the reputation that it has. I feel like this is the one that announced Rob Reiner as a director to the world. He wasn't just the meathead from All in the Family. He was the director, Rob Reiner. He wasn't Carl Reiner's son. He was Rob Reiner. This is the one that started it all for him.
Oh yeah, look at it catapulted. I mean, Feldman was already big, but this probably really took him off even more. River Phoenix, this took him off. This took Will Wheaton. This took Jerry O'Connell, Kiefer Sutherland. I mean, you think of all the different, or John Cusack, obviously because of Reiner in the last one too. So you think about all these other careers really, spawned off because of Reiner. So it is crazy to think that. But yeah, no, this is a great film. It's a great coming of age film. Like I said, it's just the days of innocence, and just having that tight knit friendship with your friends and going through those struggles of life together, no matter what they are. Those obviously those things that happen to those kids a lot worse than what at my age, their age, when I was their age. Thinking back to what I think. My parents got divorced when I was 6. I think that was the biggest thing that had happened to me since like when I was around their age, like 12, 10, 10 or 12 or whatever, went to public school from Catholic school. Outside of that, just not, these kids have lived a lot of life in a short amount of time. A lot of bad things happen. I was an only child, so obviously didn't lose a brother. My parents, I grew up in a nurturing, loving household, so I didn't have, nobody trying to burn me. So, thankful in those aspects, but, you do feel appreciative of the, of those connections that you had when you were younger. And, this movie just reiterates that, it echoes that. And that's why I think it's such a, a timeless classic.
Couldn't agree more. And we, like I said, we're on the golden mile of Rob Reiner's career, so we're going to be covering more and more of his classics. But this is the one that I feel like, one, started off his career, like really started it, and two, it's aged like a fine wine in a lot of ways. So it's like, it captures the 50s, but it also is timeless in like its messaging and the performances especially.
Yeah, I would even put this in there with like American Graffiti too, as another 50s film that I feel like it could still be kind of like the music and the what I mean, and all that stuff. Obviously, it's a little bit more lavish, but I still think the messages are still there too, I think.
I like American Graffiti, but I love this one even more. Like, I can't remember. Like, I've seen American Graffiti 3 times, and I can't remember.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah,
this, like, all day, I was like thinking to myself, like, what song were they singing on those tracks? And it's like the intro to like one of those Western TV shows, and like I was thinking about it all day.
Yeah, I get hyper fixated on stuff like that after I watch movies. I go down the rabbit hole. I'm like, oh, that was a good song at the middle of the movie. Oh, I haven't listened to that one for a while. Meanwhile, Spotify the next like 3 days, I'm blaring it. Yeah, I do the same thing. So
What did you all think of Stand By Me? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to read what you have to say. In 2 weeks' time, when we return to the Reiner Project, we'll be taking a look at one of my all-time favorite movies of all time, period, The Princess Bride. Yeah, like the next year, he made The Princess Bride. He was untouchable. Rob Reiner was untouchable. Russell, thank you so much for doing this with me. Tell the people where they can find you.
yeah, you guys can find us Notorious by Chance. Our latest episode, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, obviously for our in memoriam dedicated to Robert Redford is Robert Redford. Jesus, I don't even know who it is. Robert Redford is out, so check that out. And at the time of this recording, we recorded Iron Man 2 for our road to Avengers Doomsday. So Iron Man 2 should be coming out sometime in the next couple days, and then we'll have a pull up as well coming up down the road. But yeah, you guys can find us there, and Notorious by Chance on the YouTube too.
Yep, all those links down below. Subscribe to them over there. Next week, next Friday, Russell and I will return to the horror movie Iceberg and continue our deep dive into the VHS series by taking a look at VHS 2. But for Russell, my name is Ryan Cam. We will see you all in the next one. Y'all take care.